Are you single and waiting for Mr. Right? Are you in a relationship but still not quite sure if he's the one? Are you married and sometimes wondering if you've made the right decision? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then this podcast is for you. I am your host, Sharon Tillman, and welcome to the He's Worth the Wait podcast. This podcast is to promote healthy, whole relationships and to educate you on how to produce the very best version of yourself so you can meet the very best version of the one who has been chosen for you. Go with me as I share my story, as I share my journey, as I share my truth and my testimony while inspiring, uplifting, and encouraging you to know that He is worth the wait. Let's talk. Hello. Welcome to another episode of He's Worth the Wait podcast. I am your host, Sharon Tillman. How y'all doing today? Listen, I am so excited to actually be able to put like a video with this podcast. Thank you to all those who follow my content and listen to the things that I have to say. And it's so good to be able to just put a face with this video tonight. So we're going to jump right into this episode, guys. And we're going to talk. Listen, I don't really have a topic for this particular episode tonight, right? So I don't necessarily have a topic for this episode. I'm really just it's some stuff that I kind of want to just talk about, and we're just going to kind of see what we can name it. Maybe as we get into it, maybe a name will come to me at that point. I don't know. But we're going to talk a little bit about relationship and marriage. We're going to talk about what to expect in marriage if you're not married, if you are divorced like myself and you're looking to get married again, or you're just looking to be in a relationship again. What are some things that you're going to look for? What are some things that you want this time? What makes this time different? I get these questions all the time. So for the ones who actually follow me, or for the ones who know me personally, you kind of know my story, you kind of know my journey, but I am divorced. I was married for almost 14 years. So I absolutely love marriage. I mean, no, I literally love marriage, right? So marriage is my ministry. Marriage is my thing. Marriage is my purpose. That is definitely what God has called me to do. I never would have known that God wanted me to work in this particular area because I didn't always know how to be a wife. I didn't always know how to be a wife. I was actually having a conversation with someone, and she was telling me, she was like, that she knew that she was always called to be a wife. She knew that she was ordained to be a wife. This was something that the Lord had let her know early on in her days. And I couldn't attest to that. I couldn't attest to that. And I told her, I said, now, if you ask me today if I am supposed to be a wife, or if I feel like that being a wife is a part of, not all of, but a part of who God has called me to be, then I would absolutely say yes. I love marriage, and I definitely believe that God has called me to be a wife. But I didn't always feel like that. I didn't grow up in a two-parent household where I really got to see marriage lived out. I never grew up like that. I didn't grow up where I got to see marriage lived out. I never grew up where I actually saw that example of marriage the way that it was designed to be, especially the way that I'm looking for my marriage to be this go round, right? So when we think about marriage, we're thinking about the relationship between Christ and the church. That's what marriage is supposed to represent. That is what it's supposed to look like. And I can honestly say, like, growing up, I just didn't see that. I didn't see that type of example. So I didn't always know that I was supposed to be a wife. And I definitely didn't know how to be a wife, right? So there are certain people who can come and say, hey, listen, I seen this example. I know what it is to be a wife. I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. I went into marriage knowing that. But for me, I can't say that. I didn't go into marriage knowing how to be a wife. I didn't go into marriage knowing anything about marriage. Can we just be real? Like, can we just be real on this podcast? I didn't go into marriage knowing anything about marriage. Like, I was young whenever I got married. So in being young, when I got married, like, I literally thought that love was enough. Like, listen, I love him. He loves me. We've got a son. Let's do this, right? It makes sense, right? And I knew that I wasn't going to be nobody's girlfriend forever, right? So in my mind, I'm like, this is the right thing to do. We've already got this kid. We want to establish family. Let's do this. Because I can remember, like, growing up, and I used to always say, and like, if you ever read my book, Pain for Purpose, where you can get that book anywhere books are sold. I'm always going to just put that out there, right? But if you have ever read my book, then you hear me talk a lot about what my envision of my life was supposed to look like. The things that I wanted to do in my life, not the plan or the purpose that God had for my life, but it was literally what I wanted to do. So I knew that I wanted a family because I don't come from, you know, like a strong family dynamic, a strong family background. So family is always and has always been important to me. So I knew that I wanted a family. I knew that I wanted my children to grow up differently than I. I wanted my children to grow up in a two-parent household. I wanted my children to have their mother and their father in the same house. I wanted my children all to have the same father. I wanted them all to have the same father living in the same house under one roof. Like, I had what I wanted my family to look like. I had the logistics of what I wanted the family to look like. So for me, getting married was just the next step. It was just the right thing to do. But I always tell the story of how when I got married, I didn't know who I was. I had no idea who I was. I knew that, and I didn't even know to whom I belonged. Like, don't get me wrong, I knew that I belonged to God. But if you listen to some of my other podcasts, I always talk about the dynamic that I felt like I had with God. I always felt like that God was angry with me because of some of the things that I had been through and some of the things that I had gone through. And I didn't feel like my life had meaning or my life had purpose. I didn't have a lot of people who loved me and expressed love, you know, because, and if you go back and listen to my foundational love video, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Because my foundational love was broken. It was tainted. It wasn't what it needed to be. So anything and everything after that, like, I always felt like that love was conditional. Like, it came with some kind of condition. And so when I met my ex-husband, you know how you just be trying to, you don't want to call my name, so you just be trying to figure out how you want to call their, like, how you want to reference them. That was just trying to figure out how I want to reference that moment. When I met my ex-husband, he seemed perfect. He seemed like everything for me. He loved me, and he loved me for me. I didn't feel like I had to do anything extra for it. And so that was enough for me because I'm young and I'm naive and I don't know any better. Let's just be real. And I didn't know who I was. I didn't know to whom I belonged. I didn't feel like I had a place of belonging. And I talk about that as well. Anytime you've dealt with rejection and you've dealt with abandonment and things like that, you just don't know that you have a place of belonging. And so that was me. That was me experiencing like, I don't know where else I belong. If this is not my family, like God, if this ain't my family and this is not the next step in my life, I don't know what is. I don't know what else you want me to do. I don't know what else there is for me to do. Like that's the point that I was at. So going into my marriage, I went into my marriage not knowing how to be anybody's wife. I didn't know how to be a wife. I didn't know. I was young. I didn't know what to do. And so my marriage suffered a lot of things, not just because of my ignorance in what I was doing, but even in the way that I chose, even in the things that I accepted, even in the things that I allowed, all played a part of me not knowing who I was, and it really affected how I wifed, right? But I can remember after 14 years, you really get into the logistics of marriage. And once you start going through some things in your marriage, things definitely start to change. And God really started doing a work within me. And he really started pulling on me and calling me to do some things. And he really started showing me how to be a wife. He started showing me exactly what it was to be exactly what I wanted, right? And he started building my character, and I walk differently. I talk differently. Like God was really doing some things in me, but in that he showed me how to properly be a wife. He showed me how to properly be a wife. He taught me patience. He taught me how to endure. He taught me how to love, even in the midst of sometimes. And I used to do a podcast for wives, right? So I think podcast is kind of my thing. I used to do a podcast for wives like back in the day. And I can remember one of the episodes of the podcast was I had somebody to ask me, or somebody posed a question to me rather, and they basically was saying, how do you, be this wife? How do you be this wife to a husband that doesn't deserve it? How do you be this wife to a husband who doesn't do what he's supposed to do as a husband? How do you honor a husband from you being a wife? How do you honor your husband in the way that you want to be honored and he does not reciprocate? There is no reciprocity. And I can remember doing that video, and I had to be really transparent. And I said, listen, I don't honor my husband because of the things that he does right. I honor him because of my relationship with God. And I honor him because of who God is. And because God, listen, you always got to be accountable for you, and you always got to do your part. And so I remember doing that video, and I got so much feedback on it because there were a lot of wives in that same situation. So I'm saying all of that to say God really taught me how to be a wife. He taught me how to pray and how to cover. He taught me how to speak into. He taught me the patience of a wife. He taught me how to love and not keep record of wrong. He taught me how, all of the things that we hear in 1 Corinthians, all of those things when we're thinking about love and we're thinking about what love does and what love means, God will really teach you those things. Like he will really do it for you if you allow him. I always say he'll bless you if you let him. If you allow him to, he will really teach you the qualities that you need to become a wife. And so that's what he did for me. So I'm saying all of that to say, I get the question all the time, Sharon, would you do it again? Like you went through a lot of things in your marriage, and I'm super transparent. I believe in sharing anything that God gives me permission to share, and anything that God has healed me from, because I know that my going through wasn't just for me. There is a we assigned to me, and I know that I am sent here to help. And so I'm very transparent in things that I've gone through in my life in general, not just in my marriage, but I'm very transparent about things that I've gone through in my life that has really helped mold me and help me become exactly who I am according to him, of course, according to God, and who I'm still becoming, because the best part of me you haven't even seen yet, right? So there's another part of me that you haven't even seen. The more that I surrender, the more that I submit, the more that I keep my face to him, the more that he'll do, and the more that he'll allow, and the more that you'll be able to see. So I'm always asked the question, would I do it again? And my answer is absolutely. I love marriage. So I absolutely want to marry again. I absolutely want to and desire to be a wife again. Absolutely. But my view of it looks different. So I know a lot of times when you're thinking about marriage, and I get this all the time because I've got a girlfriend who's divorced or going through a divorce, and I know that a lot of times she's always like, Sharon, I'm never doing, like, I can't see myself ever doing it again. I can't see myself ever putting myself through this, like, because divorce is hard. Okay, so I have some episodes on divorce, like overcoming divorce, part 1, part 2. And so I want to release them together. And when the Lord say release them, I'm going to release them. But I really go in about divorce because divorce is hard. Listen to me. Divorce is not easy. It's literally the ripping away of two people. It's the ripping away of two people. So to think about being married for almost 14 years, I was married for almost 14 years. I was with my ex-husband for like 17 and a half, 18 and a half, going on 20 years. That's almost 2 decades together. Literally over half of my life. Literally over half of my life. So the ripping away of that is not easy. The ripping away of your life that has been merged together for so long and having to really be separate in that space is not easy. It's definitely something that you just don't want to wish on people. I don't want to wish divorce on people. I want everybody to live in marital bliss, but I want you to live in the reality of it. And that's another thing that I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about really living in the reality of what the situation is and not what we want the situation to be. But sometimes divorce leaves a stain on people, and it really stains them to the point where they just don't want to do it again. They don't want to get married again. They don't want to have to go through that again. Why would I want to put myself through that again? Why would I want to have to go through all of that again? Especially when it gets messy. Because I always say, you don't really know a person until you divorce them, right? I know I probably saw things that I ain't seen in almost 2 decades. I'm like, wait a minute, where it come from? I ain't never seen that before. What is happening? Like, you literally start to see another side. But what we have to remember is we're not the only one that's going through. So even though it comes to that place of having to get a divorce, it may not necessarily be what they want. Like, I was the one to file for divorce from my ex-husband, and I can talk about it. I was the one to file for divorce. He showed me that he wanted the divorce, but the reality was he didn't want the divorce. So I was the one who was actually able to take the initiative and say, hey, listen, enough is enough, and this is what I want to do. And I can be really transparent in that because a lot of times people are going through very similar stories. Like I always say, our journeys are not all the same, but we all go through a lot of the same things. A lot of the same things affect the same household, but the journeys are different. So my journey isn't going to look like your journey. But I can remember just being in that space of where I went to God and I asked for permission, right? Because I was that person who wanted my marriage so badly that I didn't live in the reality of marriage. I didn't live in the reality of my relationship. I lived on the outside of it. I knew what I wanted my marriage to be, but I also knew what it really was. And so for me, if I can live in the reality of what I want it to be versus what it really is, then I don't have to face it. I don't have to face it. I don't have to accept it, right? Because acceptance is the first, that's where we start. We first have to accept the situation for what it is. And then after we accept the situation, then we've got to make the decision if we're going to stay or go. If we're going to accept it and put up with it, or we're going to accept it and say, absolutely not. So for years, I lived on the outskirts, is what I'll call it. I lived on the outskirts of the reality of my marriage. And I lived on I know what I want this marriage to be. I know what this marriage can be versus what it really was. And so when it came down to us actually getting the divorce, I went to God. Because even in that, I still honored my father, and I honored how he felt about the decision that I wanted to make. But I wanted his permission. I wanted to go to him and be like, okay, God, I come to you for everything. Like, I literally go to God for everything, right? I wanted to go to him and be like, okay, God, this is what I want to do. This is really what I want to do. And I don't know how you feel about it. I know what your word says concerning it. I know what your word says concerning it. I know how you feel about certain things. And this is where I am. God, I am asking for your permission. If you give me permission, then I'll do it. And I won't look back. And when I went to God and I asked him for permission, he granted me the permission to do it and not look back. And that's what I did. Can I just tell y'all that I still look back? Can I just be real with y'all? I just want to be real on the podcast tonight. Listen, I still look back. Even though I said, Lord, if you give me permission, I'll walk away and I won't look back. I look back. I did. And at one point in time, I was almost convinced that it could still work. I was almost convinced that it could still work. That something could still come from this thing. I'm like, I don't know, something can still come from this thing. I'm convinced this thing might still work out. Even in that moment of asking God and God already letting me know where I am and where I need to be, I was still on the fence about it. And so I say that to say that happens to a lot of us. It happens to a lot of us. We get into situations. We get into marriage, and I talk about not knowing who I am, but we go into marriage and we accept people not necessarily for who they are, but we accept them for who we want them to be, who we desire them to be, or who we feel like they can be. We're marrying people for potential. We're marrying people for, whatever. And it doesn't always work out like that. And then sometimes we end up keeping somebody in the space just to not be by ourselves, and we end up falling for someone who's just supposed to be passing time, right? So that's a whole nother episode for a whole nother day, but I just had to throw that out there because I got that revelation and I was like, oh my God, that's so true. A lot of times we think about people who are supposed to just be passing the time, but then we end up spending too much time where the time's supposed to be passing. And then next thing you know, we falling for the people, or we entangled with the people who are supposed to be passing the time. And then next thing you know, we find ourselves in a situation that we're not supposed to be in. Yeah, that's another episode for another day. I can't wait to talk about that. But, so yeah, I absolutely want to get married again, without question. But marriage will look different for me. So this is where we're really boiling down to the logistics of this episode, because we wanted to talk about what marriage looks like. Maybe that can be the title, what marriage looks like. We're going to title this episode, What Marriage Looks Like. How about that? But what marriage looks like, we know that marriage is the example between Christ and the church. We understand that. We understand that we are supposed to demonstrate that. But the difference in, what we do when we're thinking about marriage, we're not thinking about marriage on that level. We're not thinking about marriage on the level of really like demonstrating, that relationship between Christ and the church. We don't go into marriage thinking about how we can be better for this person, how we can add to this person's life. Like, The reality is we get married because we love someone, because they love us. We fall in love, or we're standing in love, however you would like to say it. And we feel like, because we feel this, we feel these goosebumps, we feel these butterflies, like they're just the one. We go into marriage, and this is the expectation of going into this marriage. But the reality is, we've got to really look for the qualities in a person that we want, not just the qualities of, I want him to be 5, I want him to be 6'2", I want him to look good, I want him to be I want him to be, not those qualities. Like, remove your list, sis. Okay, we're not talking about it in that sense, but we're talking about the man of God that he has chosen for you, the man of God, or for my brothers who might be listening to this podcast, for the woman of God who has been chosen for you. So I talk about all the time, and listen, all of my friends know, the people who are close to me, because I am constantly praying for my husband, right? I pray for him. I cover him. Even now, I don't know his name. I don't know where he lives. I don't know where he works. I don't know. But all I know is that it is my job to pray and cover him as God prepares him to find me. And as he continues to prepare me for him, I'm covering him in prayer. What am I looking for, though? And I think that's what we really need to talk about. What are we looking for whenever it comes to marriage? Are we looking for someone that we just want to love? Are we looking for someone, and I need to plug my computer up, y'all, because I don't want it to die on me. But are we looking for someone that we just want to love? Are we looking for someone, that we want to build with? What exactly are we looking for? Y'all, give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I should have already had this computer plugged in, huh? Goodness gracious. Okay, there we go. Okay, I ain't want to lose my video on y'all tonight. Forgive me. But what are we looking for? Like, what is it that we're really looking for when it comes to marriage? Are we looking for somebody to love? Are we looking for somebody to love us? Are we looking to feel like a void within? Are we looking for someone to help us around the house? Are we looking for someone to help us pay bills? Are we looking for someone to help us raise our children? Like, what is it that we're looking for in our spouse? What is it that we're desiring? What is it that we want? We have to really go to the word. So when we're thinking about the Proverbs 31 woman, there is a man that is represented within that word, right? And so we're looking for the epitome of that man. We're looking for someone that we can do life with. And so people, when I say that, people be looking at me like, what? Girl, you can do life with anybody who want to do life. No, you can't do life with just anybody that wants to do life. Because if your purposes are not aligning, and if you guys are not coming together at the end of the day, y'all might be doing life for a little while. But then guess what? After a while, you're not going to be doing life together anymore. It's more than just marrying for love. I don't want to marry just for love anymore. I don't want to marry just for love. I don't want to marry just because I'm in love. I don't want to marry because he looks good or he can take care of. Listen, I don't want to marry for those things. I want to marry the man of God who has literally been chosen for me. I want to tell you guys this story, and I'm be quick, or I'm gonna try to be quick with the story anyway, so I can get back to what I'm saying. But we're dating, right? So you find yourself dating. People are like, what are you doing? Are you dating intentionally? I'm absolutely dating intentionally. So I don't want to date anybody who is not scratching the surface of that purpose, right? So there are certain things that would just turn me all the way off from dating you. All the way off. And I haven't always been there. Let's be clear. I ain't always been there. But your girl is there now, right? So I can remember dating a guy, And this guy got really serious really fast. So I've always been told that men know, like men know. They know if they want to marry you. They know if they want to be with you. Like men know. And so this guy knew, right? He definitely knew. So he was definitely pursuing. He was doing everything that he thought was good for me, right? And so you got to be careful when you're dating. You have to be careful because you're just dating. So like I hear a lot of people say dating is like data collecting. So you're collecting data on each other. And so you're dating in that sense, but at the same time, like you have to be careful that as you're collecting data and as you're like, you gotta still be looking for the qualities. Like you can't get caught up in things that, will throw you or deter you from staying focused. So I said that to say because, this guy would buy gifts all the time, right? So he was a super sweet guy, super sweet. And he would just, every time we went out or every time we met, whatever, he was always coming with a gift. And I mean, that's good gifts, right? They were good gifts, right? And so the first thing that somebody who doesn't know who they are or somebody who's not secure in themselves, the first thing they'll do is they'll get caught up in the gift giving. And they'll get caught up in the fact that, okay, gifts, okay, he loves me, okay, this, okay, that, whatever. But I wasn't moved by that, right? Because I can buy my own gifts, right? And I say that not in a boastful, arrogant way, but I need more than that in a relationship. And so this particular dating situation really, really revealed to me when I went to God in prayer about it, right? So I can remember, just talking to this guy, and this guy is talking about marriage, and he wants to get married, and he's got all these plans for us. And so I'm like, but what are your plans for you? What are you doing? Where are you in your life? Like, what are your goals? What do you want to do with yourself? Like, what are your because our purposes were not aligning. So what I'm doing in my life and the path that God has me on is not aligning with his path, not the path according to what I could see. So I'm like, tell me more, give me more, let me know, what it is or however. And I can just remember he would always say things to me like, "You're perfect. You're like you're perfect." And I used to say, "No, I'm not perfect. Like I have things. I'm not perfect." And he would say, yeah, but you are perfect. You got your stuff together. Like you got your own this, you got your own that, like you this, you that. And I was like, that those are tangible things. That doesn't make me perfect because those are tangible things. Like there are still things that I need. And the Lord immediately said to me, you don't want to be with anybody who doesn't see you. And that thing kind of sat on my lap because I was like, okay, God, I get that. Like, but you know what? You're absolutely right. I don't want to be with anybody who don't see me. I don't want you to look at me or look at my life on the outside and feel like, oh, you're perfect because you've got everything that you want and you just got it all together and you've got this and you've got that, because there's so much more to life than just stuff. So what I need from my husband, he's only going to be able to fulfill that need for me is if he has a relationship with God. Right? I don't want to be too deep, but I'm be deep tonight. Like the only way he'll be able to fulfill that need for me is if he has a relationship with God. He's got to have that relationship with God in order to know, because I can't tell you the things that I need. I need you to go to God and be like, okay, God, I want you to show me exactly how you want me to love her. Show me the things that she doesn't show on the outside. Like that's how I want my husband to go to the good Lord Jesus about me, right? So I know what I'm looking for when it comes to a husband, I'm looking for that guy. I'm looking for that man of God who aligns with my purpose. My purpose partner is what I call him, but I'm looking for that man of God who aligns with my purpose, who knows how to go to God concerning me. Because in my marriage, it's going to require two whole people. I'm going to come in my marriage whole, and my husband has to come into the marriage whole. I can't be whole and he can't be half, and it ain't no two halves make a whole. It's two wholes make one. Right? So when we're thinking about the math equations, right? And you got 2 over 2 equals 1, right? Right? I mean, yeah. Listen, I've been out of school for a minute, but I still remember my math equations, right? So it's literally 2 wholes coming together that's going to make 1 whole. We're going to make 1 whole together. This is how 2 become 1, because I'm whole, he's whole, and then we come together, right? And in order for us to stay together, and to stay married, and to stay whole, and to stay in that place, I've got to be submitted to Christ first. And he's got to be submitted to Christ first. Our covenant is with Christ first, which brings us to each other. So if I'm constantly holding on to God and he's constantly holding on to God, we're always going to be able to hold on to each other, because that strand can't be broken. When we're talking about that strand, that is the strand right there. But if I let go, or if I'm not submitted, or if he's not submitted, then that's how we allow the enemy to come in. And that's how we get off track from 2 wholes equating to 1. So I'm saying all of this because the importance of people knowing the real reason to, why we really get married, right? It's so easy to just marry somebody because you love them. It's easy to marry somebody because they look good. Okay. I love weddings, right? So my little side business is planning weddings. Anybody out there like trying to get married, or you got married, go ahead and hit my DM up, because I got you, right? Business. I love weddings. I love marriage, right? We love to plan weddings. But one thing I noticed is we plan weddings, but we don't plan futures. We plan weddings, but we don't plan for futures. We don't plan how to fight. We don't plan how to communicate. We don't plan how to deal with things that we don't agree on. We don't plan, how we're going to handle different beliefs, different cultures and things. And see, these are things that you need to definitely talk about prior to marriage when it comes to like culture, beliefs, because you don't want to marry anybody who believes differently from you. That unequals your yoke. You don't want to marry anyone when you guys don't agree on the same thing together. But when it comes to like how you're raising your kids, especially when it comes to blended families. So I've never had a blended family, but I'm going to be a part of a blended family when I get married again. My husband is going to come with kids. I already know. My husband is going to come with kids. I have kids, and we're going to be blending and merging our 2 individual families together to make one whole big family. And so these are conversations that you have. How do you handle conflict with children? When is it okay for me to say something? When is it not okay for me to say something? How do you feel about me doing this? How do you feel if I don't do this? Like, these are conversations that need to be had. We jump into marriage without really getting to know everything that we need to know. Now, don't get me wrong. You grow with your partner. You grow with your spouse, right? So as long as you're growing together, you're going to keep learning things about each other every day. And I can promise you, because I have been married before, every day is not going to be a bed of rose petals, okay? So you're not going to wake up every morning and be like, oh my God, I am so lucky to be married to you. Mwah. It doesn't work like that, y'all. Let's get out of the reality of TV, okay? I woke up like this. Yeah, like no. They done beat their face for that bed scene, okay? That's not how we waking up. We're waking up with morning breath. We waking up with coal in the eye. We waking up with slobber going down the side of the mouth, especially if there was that good sleep, okay? We might have snored throughout the night. I mean, we just never, this is how we're waking up. So the reality is he might have snored all night and you didn't get your sleep the way you wanted to. So you might be side-eyeing him in the morning. He like, oh, good morning, baby, because I done slept good. And you looking like, I'm glad somebody did. With the eye roll. Okay. That's the reality. That is the reality of okay. This is the reality of marriage. Every day is not going to be a great day. Every day is not going to be a bed of rose petals. That's not the way that it works. But the reality is every day you wake up with the intent that I was chosen to do life with this person. And this person was chosen to do life with me. And so we want to marry someone that we can intentionally work with, the intent of working with, the intent of loving, the intent of doing life, the intent of merging purposes aligning, the intent of I want to be your wife and you want to be my husband. I want to love you even on the hardest days. When that's the intent that we need behind marriage, because we want longevity. And because we know that marriage is God ordained, we want to make sure that we are representing Christ when we do this. We want to make sure that we are giving the example, that we are demonstrating the example of Christ in the church. We want to make sure that we are doing that. We want to make sure that we are doing that. Listen, I am a counselor. I see divorce all the time. And I see divorce in our society, in our culture, in Christian faith. We see so much divorce here. When the reality is we should know how to do this thing, because we know what Christ says concerning marriage. So we should be the ones who are setting the example for the people in the world who are getting married, and they're getting married because they're in love and they're standing in love and they love the person, and the person provides security and and listen, don't get me wrong, because we love God and because we're representing Christ, in fact, that doesn't mean that we take away all of the qualities that they still need of being a husband, being a provider, being a leader, being a man of God. We don't take those things away. I still need you to lead. I still need you to be a provider. I still need you to be my man of God. I need you to be my husband. I still need you to be the father to our children. I still need you to change these light bulbs. Like, listen, we're not taking away, or we're not dimming down, or we're not erasing any of the qualities that we still desire, but we're adding on. Instead of saying, I want a husband who's 6'2", nice build, beard, bald head. I'm just calling out some stuff, right? I'm not telling y'all what kind of man I'm looking for. I'm just calling out some stuff. Instead of putting that on the list, we're like, but God, you know what? If he 5'6" and he ain't got no beard and he got some hair up there, but if he's my purpose partner and this is the man of God that you've chosen for me, it's not a settle when you are getting who God has chosen for you. Listen to me clearly. Let me say that one more time for the people in the back. It is not a settle, because just because I say, oh, he may not be tall, dark, and handsome. Ain't that how they say it? Tall, dark, and handsome. That doesn't mean that you're settling. If you're getting the man of God, the man that God has literally chosen for you, the man of God where you've literally been pulled from that particular rib, and you can do life with him for the rest of your life, it's well worth it. Listen, it is well worth it. Well worth it. And it's not a settle. Can I just tell you that having the person that God has chosen for you to love you the way that God has chosen for you to be loved. Can you, like, we are literally the creations of Christ, right? So he knows exactly what we need, what we desire. He knows these things. And to pull someone who can literally take instruction from him and do it exactly the way that he's called for it to be done. Do you know what kind of voids you're not missing if you are having the man to love you exactly the way that you're desiring to be loved? For someone literally to love you the way that you need to be loved without you vocally speaking it out of your mouth. To have a man to regard you, to have a man who chooses you each and every day, to have a man who is very intentional about you and who cares about your heart and cares enough about your heart to handle it in the right way, because he wants to handle your heart with care. A man who has literally been chosen by God for you. Do you know how amazing that is? Like, listen, I don't know about you, but the thought of God having created me for someone like that and him for me excites me. So I can literally pray for my husband every day, y'all, and like be so intent. God, I thank you for my husband. I thank you for my purpose partner. Listen, and I laugh when I say it because like my kids, whenever they be like, oh, here go mama calling her husband in the, like I be calling him, come on forth, husband. Because not only am I praying and covering you before you even get here, so when you get here, those prayers that I've already prayed, they're lining up and they're following you. So those prayers are going to attach to you the prayers that I'm releasing for you. So it's not going to be hard for me to continue to pray and to cover you and to speak life into you when you become a part of my life, because I've been doing it even before you got here. You see what I'm saying? Come on, y'all. And the fact of the matter is to not just be praying for him, but to be praying for yourself. Like, God, continue to prepare me for him. Continue to prepare me for him, that I can be the answer to his prayers. That I can literally be the answer to his prayers as well. Because it's not a selfish thing. Marriage is not a selfish thing. It's not selfish for me to want to please him and for him to please me. So I'm like, God, prepare me even for my husband. Prepare me that I can be the answer to his prayers. God, give me clear instruction on how to love him. Give me clear instructions on those parts of him where I've got to be extra sensitive, or where I've got to be, what you need me to be for him. Like, I'm praying that he's everything that you've designed for him to be for me, vice versa. Because we ain't selfish. I want to give that same love that I'm looking to receive. Come on, y'all. Listen, I just want us to do it the right way, okay? Like, nobody holds the past against you. You are not defined by your past. Go find my TikTok for that video, that reel that I posted earlier this week. Listen, you are not defined by your past. Your past does not dictate who you are, and it does not dictate your future. So we're not worried about the relationships that you've had in the past and the relationship. We're not worrying about the marriage that did not work out for you, if that was your deal, because I've been divorced. I am divorced. And I am divorced. It is what happened to me. It is not who I am. I don't identify divorce. Like, I'm not identified by divorce. And so neither are you. And you're not identified by your past relationships. You can make the decision today to change it. You can make the decision today to say, okay, God, I see this thing differently. Like, I don't want just another ordinary relationship. I don't want just another ordinary marriage. I don't want just another ordinary partner. God, I want the guy, I want the man that has been chosen for me. I'm going to give y'all like my little secret, right? I can't wait till I get married because this is going to be my testimony. I literally have a list for my husband, right? All the qualities that I desire in my man of God, I literally have them to where I can walk up to the wall and I can just start calling them out. Now, I've been saying it for, I've been saying it for a while. I ain't gonna say for so long. I ain't been, in this space forever. I don't want to discourage nobody. I have not been in this space forever, but I promise you, when your time comes, you will get the man of God or the woman of God that has been chosen for you. When your time comes, I can promise you. And I say that to say, because when we're in our singleness, we're in preparation. So as you are single and you're preparing for your husband, continue to work on you. Continue to focus on you. Continue to focus on the call and the purpose that God has on your life. Because where is your husband going to find you? He's going to find you in purpose. He's going to find you when you're busy. He ain't going to find you when you at the house and you just sitting in the recliner. Listen. I used to tell people all the time, because I used to get this so much, it's ridiculous. And the people used to be like, I'm just waiting on my husband. And I'd be like, what do you mean? What does that even mean? You're waiting for your husband. And they're like, I'm just waiting for my husband because the Lord already told me and the Lord already showed me that he finna send him. And I'd be like, okay, I'm encouraged for you. Where is he going to find you? I'm going to be right here at the house. Oh, no, ma'am. Where is he going to find you? Like, I'm laughing because the reality is sometimes we can just be waiting, right? But the Bible says, faith without works. So we got to do a little work. We got to do something. We got to get out, we got to get out there. We've got to get out there. Like, you can't just be in the house. Like, is your husband going to be the UPS man because you keep ordering stuff from Amazon? Or is your husband going to be the DoorDash man because you at the house all day but you ain't cooking? Or is your husband going to be the mailman because you getting mail every day? You got to get out the house. Like, make yourself available for the one who has been chosen for you. So make sure you get out the house and make sure you do what it is that you're supposed to do. Like, make sure you're making yourself available, but make sure that you are in your purpose. Make sure that you're in the place that you're supposed to be in, because that's where your husband is going to find you. And it's got to be husband, because the husband is the one who finds. Your husband is going to find you in purpose. He's going to find you in that place of doing exactly what it is that you're supposed to be doing. He's going to find you in that place of busy. So make sure that you're busy. Make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. Make sure that enjoy your time of singleness when you don't have to be. Listen, because in your singleness, you can be a little selfish. Outside of the fact that you need to be selfless to God, and you need to make sure that, you're submitted to God and that you're doing what God has called you to do. You can be selfish in the sense of, if I just want to get on a plane and go, I can get on a plane and go. It's not now I have a husband and having a mate doesn't restrict you, but it changes the way that you move, because now it's not just about you and your money and what you want to do, but now it's y'all's money, y'all's finances, y'all's decision. It requires more. So you cannot go into your marriage with a single mindset. So go ahead and get that singleness out of your system while you single, sis. Like, don't rush marriage if you're not ready to be completely, selfless in your marriage, because that is what marriage requires. Okay? That is what marriage requires. But make sure that you find yourself being busy. You find yourself working your purpose. You find yourself submitted to God, doing exactly what it is that God is calling you to do, because there is where you're going to find your husband. Your husband is going to find you there. He's going to find you there. He's going to find you in that place. He's going to find you busy doing the work that God has called you to do. And he's going to find you there because he's going to be there. He's going to be there busy doing the work that God has called him to do too. Listen, I could talk about this all night because listen, relationships and marriage, that is my thing. It's everything for me and I absolutely love it. But more so, I really want to help you guys. I really want to be that voice for you guys. Listen, I know what God is saying concerning these things. And I just want to make sure that I am saying it so that you guys can know it as well. Because this is what God is saying. He wants marriage to look different. He wants us to represent Christ and the church and the relationship, the marry. He wants us to represent that. So let's just make sure that we're doing what we got to do. Let's make sure that we are looking for that man of God, that we are looking for that purpose partner, that we are looking for the one who aligns with who God is calling us to be. Because together, you're going to do life with the person that you were called to for the rest of your life. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Listen, I am Sharon Tillman. I love you guys for real. Have an amazing night.